Welcome back, Nitwits. Game Over Joey here, and with me as always, Damo99.
What's up, Nitwits?
Let's get into the massive news that Xbox dropped on us yesterday. They acquired ActivisonBlizzard for $68.7 billion. That's right, billion with a B, dollars. This news is just it's crazy. I don't think anyone saw this coming. Dom, what were your thoughts when you read that tweet yesterday from Xbox?
I mean, it kind of seemed like a joke. I mean, to be honest with you, it just seemed unreal. And then you heard the dollar amount, and it seemed even faker. And then, you're just sitting there, did they really pull it off? And then it starts getting more and more confirmed, and you're like, what is happening? I mean, we tried to do a podcast on this, and I feel like at first we were so out of it, because there's so much information going on here, and it's such an unheard of number. I mean, I think Disney's purchase of Fox and AT&T purchasing Warner Brothers are two larger transactions, and that's with actual movie studios and everything. This is gaming, and we hit $70 billion. I think it's just so much information to take in, and one small move of $70 billion for, Xbox spending or Microsoft spending, Sony loses $20 billion instantly. I mean, it's just, the numbers are just unreal with this purchase.
It is the most expensive, I guess you could say, merger or purchase in gaming history from any studio. I think back to Bethesda, right? And our reaction when that took place for $7.5 billion, we both were like, holy crap. That is an insane amount of money. But to sit here and see $70 billion for Activision Blizzard is just absolutely insane. But then when you take a step back and you realize how much that actually includes in studio wise, that's they're getting a massive amount of studios with that, and some of the biggest names out there, and as developers, right? You're getting Blizzard Entertainment, Beanox, Digital Legends, High Moon Studios, Infinity Ward, Radical Entertainment, Sledgehammer Games, Raven Software, King, Toys for Bob, and Treyarch, right? And a few of those heavy hitters you just name right there right off the bat. You hear Blizzard Entertainment, you think of World of Warcraft, you think of Hearthstone. When you think of Infinity Ward or Treyarch, or even Raven Software now, you're thinking of Call of Duty, which is hands down one of the biggest IPs, if not the biggest IP in the shooter genre. And that is just insane to think that they acquired these studios and they're really putting them out there. And who would have thought this would be random news dropped down on the gaming community overnight?
I mean, it was like I was drinking coffee and that's the first thing I saw. That was my morning news.
Yeah.
And I think just really looking at it, the games that Microsoft is now adding, and not even Call of Duty, just the little ones, I guess little, and I'm going to say Spiral and Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah.
And an underrated, the whole thing of this, and we talked about this offline before, but Candy Crush is a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
As dumb as it is, Candy Crush brings in a lot of money and is such a big name in the mobile gaming community. I mean, you could argue it's the biggest mobile game, right? I mean,
absolutely.
And they just got that too. And that's not getting much love or notice, but it's just wow. How, they really pulled off just something amazing here.
Yeah, it is really insane. And I agree with you. People really don't realize how big Candy Crush is. They think, oh, it's a mobile game. You can buy power-ups for 99 cents. Not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But the amount of people that play that game, I have never met anyone that have never launched that game at one point, right? I'm sure there's people out there, of course, right? But even, I think everyone's played it at one point, the majority of gamers, right? And just think about, let's say they have 200,000 active players. Half of those people purchased that power up for 99 cents. Think about that. That's $100 million. And that's insane to think that mobile game can produce that much volume, that revenue for a company. So I agree with you. King is a huge player in this, and it's only going to benefit Microsoft long term. Blizzard, World of Warcraft, arguably the best MMO ever made, right? Still has a massive population paying for that monthly subscription. Additional revenue there. Call of Duty, the biggest first-person shooter. As I mentioned, that right there brings in a massive amount of revenue every single year. It's a billion dollar franchise. And now that they own it, that brings up the question, what are they going to do with Halo, right? You can't release Call of Duty and Halo in the same year, right? That doesn't make any sense. So what I think in that specific regard, right, they're going to take those other studios and put them on other projects. It doesn't make sense for them to keep making Call of Duty games. And your mind can go wild with this news. Looking at all these studios, now totaling 34 studios across Microsoft's umbrella or Xbox's umbrella is absolutely crazy. I am seriously still shocked after the news, and you and I are big first person shooters. Like, we love first person shooting, right? That, those shooters are games that we play a lot of, and the fact that Microsoft is going to be the place to play those now is just super exciting. Because, we're PC gamers, so we're going to benefit from it. So that leads me to my next question, Dom. Do you think that Xbox is going to make these games first party exclusives to PC and Xbox only?
You have to. You just spent $70 billion. Just to nicely put it, Xbox just went for the jugular on Sony. Sony is now forced to do a move. They have to make some. Take it down. Like, what's the biggest MMO out there?
Right. Well, right now, Final Fantasy.
And what's right after that then?
WoW.
So WoW is going to pick up traffic now.
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't be shocked if they brought it to console.
Yep. And another cool thing about WoW too is it could actually get some sort of overhaul. Maybe they'll invest more into it now. Maybe, see if they can fix it, patch it, whatever it needs done. First person shooters, Call of Duty is arguably the best.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely.
So they own probably the best first person shooter, a top tier World of Warcraft and MMO. Also, they have Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
Guitar Hero. Maybe we can get a revamp of that. That's a game I miss.
Me too.
But it's just weird because Microsoft has such deep pockets, and they just acquired so many studio, or I guess games that we beloved as children or as younger adults or whatever.
Yeah.
And now it's like they're going to do it, man. They're going to bring it all back, and we're going to throw our money right back into them to buy it all right in. But why would they give that same ability to PlayStation? Like, that's just dumb. $70 billion, no thank you. That's mine. Now, like Warzone or something like that, maybe I'll let that be cross-platform, but not the big guns.
Right. So, and that's what I agree with you there too, man. I truly think that after any contracts that they currently have with Sony are up, all these games will go exclusive to Xbox and PC. Obviously, be on Game Pass because they're going to be day one exclusives, right? So they'll be all on Game Pass. And that being said, a lot of people were saying, why would they take all these games, throw them on Game Pass? And as we talked about in prior videos, it's really a marketing tactic, right, for people to buy into Game Pass.
Yep.
And it is genius because their numbers currently are at 25 million subscribers to Game Pass, which in itself is roughly anywhere from $200 to $250 million a month. Now, I understand that's not all pocketed, but it's a genius plan. That these games that will be coming to Game Pass will market Game Pass like no tomorrow. And in a sense, it's this subscription service model is going to continue growing. I mean, Sony's looking into it now,
Yep.
and ultimately, what's going to have to happen, and this is just my opinion, is Sony's going to have to make their day one exclusives go on their PlayStation service, and if they do not, it's going to continue to be the lesser of the two, right?
Mm-hmm. No facts.
But I really, really wish Sony would do something similar to it, to what Xbox is doing, because competition is healthy. And that leads me to my next question for you, Dom. So, you stated, and internet all knows now, that Sony lost $20 billion overnight as soon as this acquisition was announced, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is just crazy to think, $20 billion. And their market cap is like 140 or 130, whatever it was,
Yeah.
$1 billion. To lose that much money, and because investors are like, we're going to Microsoft now, is just insane to think. So do you think this is healthy competition, or do you think this is ultimately just, just a blow, right? Do you think this is going to hurt Sony overall long term, in the sense of they're going to be hurting, as in, I don't want to say bankrupt, because that's never going to happen to Sony because of PlayStation. There's too many fanboys out there, right? We both have a PS5, but we're not fanboys. But the point is, we both have a PS5. So do you think people are going to gravitate more towards Xbox now, costing PlayStation even more money, to the point where I guess you could say they're hurting financially, or do you think they'll be financially healthy still, as long as they continue to invest in the gaming space?
I mean, it dropped their stock dropped 13%. Single fall, boom. There's a lot to take in just on Sony's side, because what's your next step? What other studios can you go out and purchase? Well, do you have the buying power to even purchase them? Like, there's a lot of things that Sony now, like, is it time to drop back and just accept a defeat in the console war? I mean, you've already stated you can't make PS5s and you're going to make more PS4s. People are tired of PS4. They want the PS5. Xbox immediately, as soon as that was announced, came out, was like, hey, we're producing the new Xboxes. Don't you worry. We'll have them for you. I mean, everything that Xbox has done now is counterpunched Sony, after Sony just dominated the console war last console generation. And, I mean, is it healthy for gaming? I mean, tell your competition to get better, I guess. I mean, even if everything goes to one console, it's still going to be there. I mean, Xbox is going to still control everything. I mean, Nintendo's this weird third market, basically, or third tier, third gamer, I guess. What's Nintendo going to do? Or Nintendo's like, hey, that's not our fight. Let them duke it out, and we'll sit here and collect our money. And the scary thing, too, is Phil Spencer, in an interview last year, said something on the wall. We always go back to this, I feel, in every podcast. It means something. We still don't know what the Nintendo symbol on the wall meant for him.
Yeah.
Everything else has been picked apart now. Yes. We've discovered everything but that Nintendo. Yes. So who knows what Nintendo and him have planned? Nintendo's not doing well as a company. Could they go in and buy Nintendo or Nintendo IPs to put them on, PC and Xbox? Sony's in trouble. They're not healthy because they haven't taken care of what they need to. A bad CEO has led them in a horrible direction. And I guess that's the way to look at it, is he's not accepting a fight, or he does not fighting for his product or his fan base. I mean,
right.
Sony's living on their big hitters, and that's it.
Yeah, and I want to take something from what you just said that's key, is that the fan base, right? The consumer. Mm-hmm. Sony is thinking more along the lines of Metacritic scores, and I bring that up specifically because of Days Gone, right? Days Gone was wildly successful in the sense of it sold more copies than Ghost of Tsushima. But yet they looked at the IP as a fail because the Metacritic scores weren't high. With that philosophy, that's going to hurt Sony more than ever because people love Days Gone.
Yep.
And especially on Steam, I know we talked about this prior, where it's sitting at very positive or overwhelmingly positive on Steam majority of the time. And it's really loved by a ton of people, and Sony doesn't view it that way. And I think that needs to be a mindset that they need to change. And Jim Ryan has made this probably Sony's worst, in my opinion, year since they've been really in business, because think about it. they're getting such a, they're becoming the bad guy versus that used to be Xbox, right?
Yeah.
Xbox, for Xbox One generation, just in last gen, Xbox hurt, and they weren't doing so hot compared to Sony because Sony, they hit the ground running, right?
Yep.
But it has switched now. Sony is becoming the less liked out of the two right now because of some of their anti-consumer practices. And don't get me wrong, I still love them to death, and I will tell you that the PlayStation 5 is a phenomenal system, and the exclusives they do have are phenomenal. I just recently replayed back through God of War again. 10 out of 10 masterpiece, beautiful game. But I do think Jim Ryan...
Red Dead 2's better.
Oh my gosh. We're not doing this now. You made me
Jim Ryan.
Yeah, Jim Ryan. I just think he needs to change his mindset. I mean, he's a businessman, and I know he's looking at it from a different point of view from what we are. But again, I really think he needs to become more consumer focused and listen to his fans. Ultimately, because that's how they're going to end up winning again, right? But I don't even know if there's even coming back. 34 exclusive studios to Microsoft. Xbox is going to be a company now where they're going to be able to release 8 to 10 exclusive games a year. They could do one a month for years with no problem. It's just crazy to think that. And I want to throw a different perspective out there real quick. In regards to how much this purchase is. Microsoft could have went and bought CD Projekt Red for a $4 billion. I don't know. I can't remember the exact number. I'm billions of dollars. We'll just say billions of dollars because I don't want to throw false information out there. Ubisoft is worth roughly $6.56 billion. EA is worth $11 billion. Square Enix is worth roughly $2.8 billion. So think about that. They could have bought all those massive publishing companies for the price they paid for Activision.
Yeah.
I think that is insane. And even putting a different perspective out there is talking about Disney buying Marvel for $4.24 million or Lucasfilms for $4.05 billion. And then Mojang, Minecraft, for $2.5 billion, right? So that should tell you how big of a deal this truly is. And that this company, meaning Microsoft, is a multi-trillion-dollar company and they have money to burn. Versus where most companies cannot do something like this. This would never have been in the reach of Sony. Sony doesn't have the actual finances to do so. And I just think this is a crazy time, and the biggest news we're going to see in years to come. I don't think there's anything that can top this, publishing wise or gaming related. Now, let me ask you this, Dom, because I've been thinking a lot about this. How do you think Sony is going to be able to really just rebuttal this? Right? We saw their response, but so you're saying they can't rebuttal it?
Let's put together what big studios are out there right now that let's just make up. Rockstar, does anyone own them?
Well, Rockstar is owned by Take-Two, so Take-Two would be the publisher.
So Take-Two, let's say Sony swings a deal with them. Is getting Rockstar going to compete with anything that just happened here? I mean, Epic Games is the only studio I can think, or like anything if someone could purchase them, but Epic's not going to do anything. They have Fortnite, which is the biggest moneymaker right now on everything. They're not going to go exclusive anywhere. I mean, the scary thing is piece together as many, trade scenarios you want or acquisition scenarios you want. This really solidified this generation right now. And I mean, Sony, the only thing they can do right now is sit back 10 and just get ready to punt. I mean, You have to look around. You have to figure out what you're going to do. I mean, Sony does have some big hitters coming right now. I mean, we're a couple weeks away from Horizon Zero Dawn, the second one. So Gears of War we should get later in the year. I mean, what else does Sony have? I mean, those are like its best titles right now.
Well, Gears of War is Xbox.
I didn't say Gears.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, God of War.
I was like, yeah, you did.
That's my fault. But God of War is coming later in the year, hopefully. So it's like, what else does it have? I mean, this should have been Sony's best year, right?
Yeah, I think the way they're going to combat this is obviously they're going to acquire some studios. They've been talking about it for some time now, right? But there's no studio out there comparable to Activision, right?
Yep.
So the only thing they could do, which they can't afford, is Epic Games, as you stated.
Mm-hmm.
Epic Games is about a $30 billion, company, and there's no way again
And
that they're selling.
it's the value of Epic Games right now. It might only be 30 billion. It's worth way more.
Oh, absolutely.
Fortnite alone is worth. I mean, I want to know what Fortnite's individual worth.
Well,
But Epic has so much more than just that. But like, it's amazing to me because you said it. There's nowhere else.
So this data is kind of outdated, but Fortnite is there's. Oh, wait a second. So Fortnite is, as of 2019, was worth almost $2 billion. So yeah, I mean that's as of 2019. That's almost 3 years ago. Insane, man. Like oh, right here. Here's an article from January 1st. Fortnite is worth 5.1. Wait, 6? That can't be right.
I mean,
okay,
Sony.
We're gonna say it's worth at least a few $1 billion. There you go.
Let's say Sony and Nintendo work together.
Never gonna happen.
No.
Again, going back to your statement. I mean, Phil said everything behind him had a meaning.
But
I honestly think, personally, in my opinion, I think Game Pass is going to come to Switch eventually. Number one. Number two, Xbox has already tried to acquire Nintendo at one point. The deal never worked out. Nintendo said, no, we're never going to sell, right? But think about it. Activision just sold for how much they're worth. Nintendo isn't even worth nearly as much as Activision.
Money talks.
So, yeah, and ultimately, Nintendo has been in the hot seat quite a few times over the past few years. So, I'm really curious on really what's going to happen, right? And what that deal is with Nintendo. And it's just crazy news. Just so crazy.
I think something to remember, too, is remember when crossplay was becoming a thing? I mean, it had to be like 2 or 3 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And Sony was pretty much an a-hole about it. And they were like, our products, only Sony products. We won't crossplay. And Microsoft and Nintendo were doing memes to each other about being crossplay on certain games. And they're having fun. And they're making fun of PlayStation while doing it. It's kind of just desserts at this point.
Yeah.
Sony... Clearly, Microsoft wants to have a good, relationship with the competitor, but they don't need to anymore. And Sony pushed that issue years ago, and now Microsoft finally is getting their punchbacks.
Yeah, and not just that. I mean, that's a really good point to bring up. Is Xbox, they really do want a good relationship with Sony. I mean, they are allowing them to use their cloud infrastructure to help grow their platform. But not only that. Phil Spencer said himself, he wants Sony to have a competitor to Game Pass. So that right there, he wants that competition because competition is healthy. It's a good thing. A monopoly is bad, right? So ultimately, PlayStation needs to really follow in the footsteps of an Xbox this generation and really do what they're saying. Because again, Xbox has sold over 12 million Xbox consoles this current generation. Sony's only at 15. That's only a $2.5 to $3 million gap that before where they were at $6 million in a gap. Xbox is catching up and they will surpass them. Here's the thing. I said Dom and I both agreed at the beginning of this generation that Xbox would be number one. And I'm sure anyone that watched our video were like, no way. But this is proof that again, they're very serious about their first party games and that the best place to play games is going to be on the Xbox ecosystem. And I think they're really proving it.
I mean, real quick, just because shameless Game Pass plug that we're known for. What more can the value of Game Pass be now?
Hey, I don't know, but what I will say is that at $15 a month, if you want it on both platforms or just 10 on one,
yeah,
it's a steal. We've talked about how many games have we just tried out that we never would have bought if we didn't have Game Pass, right? So it's a steal and it's totally worth the money.
I mean, think of it. Call of Duty now could be on Game Pass. Overwatch is going to be on Game Pass. Crash Bandicoot's going to be on Game Pass. We don't know about World of Warcraft. Hearthstone could possibly come to Game Pass. All the Diablos on the Game Pass.
You know one thing we forgot about?
Tony Hawk. What?
Skylanders. How big was that?
Massive. I don't know. Is it still relevant? I don't know, but it's a big deal.
It is.
Like it was a huge name.
Yeah, I mean, like, man, and then they have all Bethesda titles, man. That's just insane. That in itself is just crazy to think. Man, this is some craziness, man. I'm telling you, Microsoft, you left us both flabbergasted. I you probably left the whole gaming industry that way, right?
Yeah.
We were so shocked. We recorded a podcast yesterday where we blabbered. We just were so excited because of the news.
We had to redo it. We really did. It was so much. I still feel like we're reiterating things here, but it's like, when you really look at this from take a step back, it's just still shell shocking.
Yeah. I mean, I think flabbergasted is a good word to use, right? I mean, we were definitely shocked, and it's crazy. I think one last piece we should really need to bring up here, the best news about this whole thing. Dom, do the honors.
Oh man, your boy Bobby.
Not my boy.
He's gonna go.
Yeah, I think that is the best news about all of this. That Bobby is going to be Dom's boy is going to, is going to definitely is going to be stepping away from Activision, which is really good for Activision as a whole. And Microsoft has realized that they put a statement about the some of the conditions. And I think that is the best news out of this entire purchase. It's good for them, and I don't think there's any other way of putting it that this is fantastic news all around.
So the CEO, Activision Blizzard, Bobby Kotick, they expect the move to happen sometime in June 2023.
Yep.
So about a year away. But there's just a lot of bad things going on within the environment he's built.
Yes.
And now 10,000 employees are going to go work with Microsoft. And there's a lot of upside for, 10,000 people now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just within this deal, too, which is something cool to think about, and getting away from the toxicity that was built there.
Yeah, and I think a good point to bring up, too, is we don't obviously know the exact conditions for Microsoft. But what I will tell you, though, is based off their reviews online, people love it, right?
Yeah.
And secondly, Phil Spencer has said in interviews that we allow as much time for a game to be created. I mean, they proved that with Halo, right? Pushing it back a full year. And the point being is that I truly do believe they're going to have a good work environment under Phil Spencer, and that it's a company that truly does care for their employees. Again, nobody's perfect, but I do think under the umbrella of Microsoft and Xbox in general, I think it's going to be great. And I'm super happy for everyone at Activision. Dom is super happy. Again, we said this is the best news out of the whole deal.
Yeah.
And we awesome. I got tongue tied. Dom, is there anything else you wanted to add, man?
I can't wait to get more details coming forward. When certain games will release, when certain things will come to Game Pass, it's all going to be one big swoop, or little by little. But we'll do follow-ups for sure on this one. I mean, biggest gaming news probably in the past, forever.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, it's huge. I mean, this news is just the biggest news that gaming has seen in ages, and that, I think that's the best way of putting it, right? Where I don't think anything's going to ever be bigger than this coming up soon at all. Not in the next 10 years. Unless if, again, Microsoft did somehow convince Nintendo to come over. That in itself would be crazy. And
join the dark side.
But hey, anything's possible, especially after this merger. So
money talks.
Yeah. Wow. It's crazy.
unreal is what it is.
It really is unreal. Good word.
But no, I mean, Nitwits as always. Thanks for listening. Wow. Like, subscribe, tell us we're awesome. You know, all the above. Follow us on our social medias. And if you made it this far, hit the follow button. Subscribe. Whatever you want to do.
Peace, love, and chicken grease.